Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, those turtles in a half shell really have evolved over the years, and guess what? If you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals. We pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more, in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because let's face it, you're listening right now. And if you are, do us that kindness, hit that subscribe button, give us the old 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere, places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So you can give us a like and subscribe there as well. God knows we'd appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, we're on the Instagram, we're on the Letterboxd, we're on the TikTok, and God knows we're probably at a few other places too. At In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates, and finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats. InTheSeats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it even more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So do us that kindness and pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a fun one. If you didn't already know, the brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, is available on video on demand. Now, it has been getting rave reviews. It's a lot of fun. It's a unique animated style. It's wild. It's wacky. It is, well, it's just good. I mean, I liked it. And so should you. But in celebration of it being available on video on demand now, and I'm sure coming to Blu-ray and God knows what else, imminently, we had the unique pleasure of sitting down with the man who birthed these heroes in a half shell all the way back in the day, the one and only Kevin Eastman. And we asked him not only about this movie, but just the evolution of the Turtles over the years, and we really had an interesting talk. But, I mean, like I said, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is available on video-on-demand platforms now. But first, enjoy our talk with Kevin Eastman, because between you and me, it's a darn good one. Kevin, obviously, first off, just, man, thank you so much for the time today. I appreciate this.
Wonderful to be here with you, Dave. Thank you. Yes.
Now, I mean, I guess my first question is because obviously the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have evolved from black and white book to multicolored, spectacle on the big screen and so many different kind of iterations. But I mean, I've got to imagine anytime there's someone's tackling the material again, you get some sort of phone call. Like, what walk me through sort of the early days of like, okay, we're going back to the well and we're doing it this way, because at least for me, this is probably the most fun I've had with it since the original comic books, to be perfectly honest.
I'm totally on your 100% agreement. Is that certainly with Mutant Mayhem, it's just an absolute blast on every level. It reminds me very, very much of the original comic books, not only in the passion and the intensity and the whether it be the approach and the style, even the stylization of almost this underground black and white comic feel, if you will, to the animation, very urban. But I think, as a proud parent and co-parent of all things Turtles, we've gone through so many different iterations of them, and parts where Peter and I were in full control of all of those elements. To we then worked with people we had less control, and then what my favorite part of Mutant Mayhem was that. Nickelodeon, Paramount, and Viacom alone, all things Turtles these days have for the last decade or more. They brought in the right people who had the right passion, the right attitude to tell a really good story and make a really good movie. And I get to watch it from afar as it started to piece together and unfold. And that was the greatest gift, because it's like, I've been in stuff where I've been all in and, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Stuff and like what to but this was absolutely exceptionally well done, exceptionally well thought out, and done by a bunch of folks that really had the passion to tell a great story with Peter and I's characters. So it's quite a gift.
What is it about these characters that has managed to endure? Because I mean, again, like people, they can go back to the well with comic books and we'll get different iterations and different stories, but when it comes to these four teenagers, everyone always seems to buy in. From your perspective, what is it about these guys that makes them so sort of generational, I suppose?
Yeah, it's when the creation of them, when we go back to the original creation of it, they were very modeled after stereotypes and iconic stereotypes and things that we loved about comics. I mean, you could pick something as important as, like, say, the Fantastic Four, where you have a family / adoptive family where you've got different personalities that they're individual, they bicker, they have their own attitudes and their own individuality, but they're strongest as a family when they come together and pull together and work together. To the approach to the reluctant superhero, to the fact that even the likeness of the characters is no, say, race, creed, or color sort of thing, so anybody could imagine themselves as these characters. So you put in a sort of familiar elements with this unique look, where it can be adapted into a number of different story possibilities, and in a way that you could get away with telling that story without it being too much comic book science or too, inside baseball kind of stuff. So yeah, it's the enduring possibility. It comes down to the fan, to me, is because when I was a kid, and I'm sure for you, we decided what was cool and what was not cool. And so if we didn't like it, we didn't read it. If we liked it, we did. And the fact that we still are finding audiences discover it and find something unique about these characters is, man, I wish we could bottle it in some way. You know what I mean? It's still pretty cool. So
For
yeah.
you as the proud parent, obviously having to let the turtles out into the universe, like especially with Mutant Mayhem, when was the moment when you could kind of sort of breathe a sigh of relief and go, okay, they got it?
Well, that was, first, Seth Rogen made it, it was breathed pretty easily then, that way, because a huge fan of so many of Seth's movies, and not only is very versatile as a talent, as an actor and a creator and a storyteller, but also a huge fan of look what Jeff Rowe has done as the Mitchells versus the Machines, to Gravity Falls, and so many others, and Evans were, so there was really, I felt immediately comfortable that we're in very, very good hands, and from the onset that they knew the kind of story that they wanted to tell. So it was sort of like, this is what we want to do, and this is why we want to do it, and we want to make this movie look like teenagers drew it. We want teenagers as the voice cast. The things that they put in place were thought out. It wasn't haphazard. It wasn't, going on. It was very methodical and very passionate. And so it was comfortable from the word go for me. Just sit back and watch it work.
Perfect. All right. Well, last question. I'm curious because obviously from the original book to now, like I said, we've seen so many iterations. How do you feel the public's perception of the Turtles have changed over the years?
That's a really good question, because it's there's so many different versions of that public now, from some of the original, and I love, one of the things I say I love the most about Mutant Mayhem is that, because my wife, Courtney and I we do a lot of comic conventions and stuff, is the amount of fans, the original fans from the black and white series and from the earliest fan base, that found something they love about this movie as much as the fans who don't know anything about that past, have not really seen the old cartoon shows or the old movies that they, 7, 8, 9-year-olds going into the movie for the first time without any history of the Turtles, so to speak, and then finding something about it that works. And so I think that that's what's oddly, uniquely interesting and inspiring about it, is that it hits on so many levels, and love it or hate it, it's still like the original comic book when we first put it out. The title Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you could pick it up, and if you love it or hate it, once you pick it up, you still picked it up. So hope for the best.
Well, you know what? You hope for the best and it came true. But I mean, Kevin, thank you for the work, and thank you so much for the time today, man.
Pleasure talking to you.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.